So we'll continue where we left off, and that is, agriculture and how agriculture is really related to poverty elevation. Because agriculture is basically a primary source of income for many people in in developing countries, especially when we talk about smallholder farmers, okay? And basically we're just relying on agriculture as a mean of livelihood. And so when we look at this, the success and productivity of agricultural activities can really impact the income level of individuals and household and potentially elevate poverty. And so when we look at this, we have the size of farm, innovation in finance, and contract farming. So what the Department for International Development, DFID, has actually proposed is that in terms of reducing poverty, we have to stop focusing on staple food crops, okay? A lot more growth will happen on non-staple production. We also want to look at high quality produce, which is predictable and traceable. We also want to, farmers will need to supplement their income through non-agriculture sources, okay? And also, how we can look into upskilling and training so that people, in terms of products, if you move up the value chain, if you're just selling cocoa, you're not going to make a lot of money. You have to process that cocoa into chocolate. So we want to increase that value chain, and that can only come about through training. So when we look at size of farm, okay, and basically we've talked about this, that small farm agriculture is really seen as a solution for poverty elevation in developing countries. But you do need that skills and training and also that financial support, because the lack of financial products and cash flow really does complicate the situation for small farmers and really hinder their ability to adapt to new models, and make it into really high quality produce. So when we look at that as well, we also have to look into what's going on trade liberalization. And basically, the concentration of corporate players in the food chain can really compromise the potential of this small producers to get out of poverty. And, especially in developing countries, your small producers really face a lot of difficulty in meeting national standards, traceability demands, private certifications, okay, by international markets. So there's needed that support and facilitation mechanism that is needed from governments to upskill their farmers to meet this requirement. And this is actually a very, very interesting article on how did China, improve millions of farmers' livelihood. What they did was, implement a series of comprehensive measures to uplift the livelihood of millions of farmers and really brought about significant improvements in rural well-being. And just to kind of summarize some of these things, but you can go ahead and read this. And this was an optional reading for you. It's basically how they introduce long-term contracts, okay, which secure land tenure. So it really encourages investment in cultivation and really reduces uncertainty. Also, agricultural modernization, we talk about using of machines, adoption of high yield crop varieties, okay, to enhance agricultural productivity. A lot of it went into rural infrastructure, okay, investment into roads, irrigation systems, electricity, improve rural infrastructure, better transportation systems. Also, rural financial services. There were a lot of poverty elevation programs, improving education, improving healthcare. Also, introducing e-commerce platforms to connect rural producers with consumers. And also, kind of looking at collective land ownership where, it's collective decision making about land use and resource management. So this was just some things that were done in China. Now we move on to contract farming. And contract farming basically, involves agricultural production. And it's basically it's carried out on the basis of an agreement between your buyer and your farmer. And with contract farming, the price is kind of fixed. So the farmer is supposed to give you maybe 500 kilograms of corn, for example. And then the entity that is involved, they will agree upon a price, okay, based on the quality standards and the delivery requirements for the purchaser. And so the price is already being established, and the company will usually supply inputs, assisting with land preparation, providing production advice, and also um, transporting these goods. And it's really that about establishing that strategic partnership between long-term relationship between your producers and buyers. And it really help to, it can really help to enhance traceability when we talk about quality assurance, making sure that there is a reliable and consistent supply of agricultural products, and also price stability. So, this purchases really can help to support a relationship, with your food producers, especially during challenging periods. But there are also some risk involved, okay? Because sometimes, these big corporations, they have too much power, and they basically can pull off of a contract. And that's one of the reasons why contract farming did not work in America. If we look at cattle production, I think, and there's a video on this that I've included, there are only about four main companies here in America that control cattle prices. And basically they squeeze out profits from, smallholder farmers. And during COVID, when the price of meat was increasing, this money was not going to the farmers, but basically it was going to the corporations. And a lot of times in terms of contract farming, big corporations can find farmers who are willing to do it at a much more cheaper place, at a cheaper scale. And there are so many interesting books that have been written about this, and how farmers are forced to compete in the system, and who can produce a lot more food at a cheaper cost. And basically they are incentivized to do that. So farmers who cannot meet those specific criteria, the specific requirements, are not chosen by these large corporations. But in other places as well, if contract farming is done right, with proper security, proper rules and regulations, basically it can offer them financial assistance, because we know that smallholder farmers really does face challenges in accessing financial resources. It helps to increase investment in technology, also improve their capacity from just the benefits from scaling up their production. Okay. And we know that, with some of the challenges with these contracts, and like what I mentioned, is this unfair contracts that potentially favoring, the large corporations, and the lack of transparency in terms and conditions. We can also talk about environmental change. You might have promised 500 kilograms, but if it's a severe flood, what happens to all your crops? And also the market's becoming saturated, with the amount of farmers who are kind of involved in this. And so that's why I said they are pitting each farmer against each other. Another thing that we can look at is agricultural sector is one of the most financially deprived sectors, okay? Only 1/8 of total government support goes into agriculture. And, we can also see that in terms of, international finance markets, while they are still integrated economies, investment capital really still comes from your high income countries, okay? And a lot of times it goes to the home country rather than supporting agriculture in developing countries or lower income countries. And so and the production sector is really being dispersed geographically. And so we have this increased transactional cost, and with this increased cost, but the unavailability of sufficient banking facilities within rural areas, and also the lack of tailored products. And we'll be talking a little bit more, and about patent laws, okay? And we saw that in your transforming the big module, all right? When we talk about GMO and how they are owned by corporations, and small farmers have to constantly buy the same seeds over and over again in order to farm. So they're not allowed to save seeds. But if you kind of remove these patent laws, it really helps to boost incentives for agri-food research and development. And what's interesting is, I think there's this lady who's called Vandana Shiva, and she has been very, very outspoken on this matter, because seeds are living organisms, and it's okay. Seeds do not belong to one corporation, and there have been with better technology these days, a lot of IT companies are slowly starting to, trademark or patent seeds, but, they are not winning lawsuits in, international courts because these are seeds that have been used by farmers for generations and they've been always been there. And suddenly, you just take it and you patent it and say it belongs to me and you get profits out of it. That's not right. So she's written tons of books about it. It's something that you can actually go and read. And so when looking at the next thing about finance, all right, it is really, especially when we and this is actually a case study over in Costa Rica, because one of the significant obstacles is actually obtaining finance for both small and medium-sized farmers. And so when you look at microcredit interest rates, they can be as high as about 35% per year. And it's very, very prohibitive for farmers to expand production. So there's this uh, corporation called Fundo Corporation. And basically, it's an organization for sustainable development in Costa Rica, which addresses the challenges through a customized credit program. And it really focuses on providing microcredit or microfinance tailored to the specific needs of agricultural producers. And it really addresses payment methods, conditions, terms, and costs based on the unique needs of their client. So it's very, very much a tailored program, and it considers factors like payment method, what type of crop you're growing, or what, the income timing, and also project conditions. So basically, it aims to really customize credit conditions for different sectors and ensuring flexibility and suitability for diverse agricultural projects. And a lot of this funding basically comes from public-private partnerships, okay, where there's an emphasis on the importance of these partnerships and, and it's facilitated through various organizations, but really is to help address challenges related to social guarantees and vulnerability. And apart from all of that, they also provide credit by offering ongoing support and follow-up, okay? So market level improvements, projections of, demands and, making sure that necessary transformation happens to ensure a positive outcome for farmers, while also kind of reducing that social mental impact, but, increasing the environmental and social benefits for the community. And finally, I want to talk about community support agriculture. And this is something when I taught this in person, I got a farmer here in Green Bay who's actually practicing community support agriculture. But basically, it's your food producer and your food consumers. So I pay a certain amount to a farmer, and every week, I'm guaranteed of a basket of diverse fruits and vegetables. Okay, and so there are many, many possibilities with community support agriculture. Sometimes it can be big, you have to pay, like for example, in Japan, basically you pay about 20 US dollar, about 15 US dollar a week, so about $60 a month. And every week I will get just 2 kilograms of different types of fruits and vegetables. But sometimes some farmers will also accept exchange of labor. And it's that mutual commitment. The farm needs the money, so they need the people, and the people support the farm. So you have the advanced capital income. You also have that guaranteed sales. It also allows the farmer to plan, okay, I can grow this amount of crops. I have this amount of people who are involved in the subscription process. It really also talks about community development because you're getting members of the community involved in farming, knowing where your food is coming from. So you know where your food is coming from, and you also know your farmer. And so this is kind of a new model that, is really growing in many, many different parts of the world, where instead of contract farming, we use the community instead, to support your farmer. And with that, I'll end here.